Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Shabbat Perek Yud Bet Mishnah Gimal. Over here, we're going to move into the melacha of writing, kotev. Right? When it comes to writing, a person needs to write something, a word, permanently, right? And then he will be hayav for writing. Our Mishnah is going to speak about some of these cases and some halakot when it comes to writing. So kotev ben bimino ben mismolo. A person writes with his right hand or with his left hand. Ben mishem echad ben mishne shemot. Whether it's from one letter or two letters, right? One letter, let's say you wrote the word, word usually has to have at least two letters, right? The word, if you think about it, the word shem, right? Name, right? Or av, right? Dad, right? Those consist of two letters. So if he writes a word from two letters, right? Av, aleph, bet, that's a word. Or from shem echad, let's say he writes it from one letter, right? You have gag, right? Is a roof, right? Gimal, gimal, right? So you have certain words also that could be from, the same letter twice. Ben mishene sameyonot. Bechol lashon, right? Whether it's from two sameyonot, right? This is simanim according to Rambam, right? Others actually explain this as different types of inks, right? I think it has to do with the girsa of how you pronounce this word. But over here, Rambam has the word sameyonot, and so two different marks, like a person write aleph for something to mean first, right? Like A, B, C, right? He's not writing it as as letters. He's writing it more to show, this is first, second, third. Right? So if you write like that, also b'chol lashon, or any language that you write in, hayav. You're always for all these cases, you're going to be hayav. Now, when we said if you write with your right hand or if your left hand, you're going to be hayav. And Rambam points out this is talking about someone who's ambidextrous. That's why he's going to be hayav. But if a person's a righty and he writes with his left hand, that's not considered writing. Right? That's b'shinui. That's considered roshem. That's considered making a mark. You can't write with your left hand if you're not someone who has control over both hands. Right? So what our Mishnah says, you're going to be hayav right with your right hand or left hand. That's someone who's ambidextrous. But someone who's a righty and he writes with the left hand, he'll be patur with writing with his left hand because that's considered roshem. It's marking. Amar Rabbi Yosef comes to Rabbi Yosef. He says, Lo yinhayevu shene otot ela mishum roshem. Right? We're only going to be hayav for writing two letters. Anytime Harabam is word ot. Ot is a letter. Plural is otot. Mara in the Hebrew it's otiyot. The way Harabam is going to the Mishnah is otot. So the only time you'll be hayav shte otot is when you ela mishum roshem. That's considered marking. Right? If you write two letters, that's considered making a mark. Shekacha yiroshmim al karshei mishkan. Leda ezu ben zugo. Because this is what they would do on the kirashim, right? On the boards of the Mishkan. So they would go ahead and they would mark aleph, on this one. The next one they would write bet, right? So they know how to line them all up, right? The Mishkan itself, you had 20, kirashim on each side. You had another 8 on the west, right? So they need to know how to set it up. So they would actually mark on it. Now, because they would mark in the Mishkan, therefore marking is considered av melacha. Rabbi Yosef says roshem is considered an av melacha. So Tanakama has the melacha of hakotev, writing. Rabbi Yosef says, okay, there's something called kotev, writing, but there's also something called roshem. And according to Rabbi Yosef, roshem is an av melacha. Now, what would be the nafkamina between the two? What would be the difference? According to Tanakama, if a person writes a word and then just makes a mark, of like aleph, right? He's only going to be, so it'll be hayav one hatat, right? Because all he did was writing. According to the Yosef, if a person went and wrote a word and then he wrote aleph and made another mark, he would be hayav two hataot because he violated writing and he violated marking, right? Kotev and roshem. Halacha is not like Rabbi Yosef, right? Even though usually halacha is like Rabbi Yosef, here halacha is not like Rabbi Yosef. Now the Mishnah continues. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, matziru shem katan mishem gadol. Shem Mishimon, Mishimuel, Noach Minahor, Vidan Midaniel, Begad Migadiel. Comes to Rabbi Yehuda and he says, look, you also have a point when you could be writing a name, right? Let's say I'm writing the name Shimon, right? Well, let's take Nahor a second. You're writing the word Nahor and you start to write Nun Hayet, and I say, you wrote a word. You wrote the word Noach. Even though you only started to write the word Nahor. Now, even if you look at the word Shimon, it's even a bigger hidush, because what happens? He's writing the word Shimon. He writes the name Shin Mem, and then the Mishnah says you wrote the word Shem. You wrote the word a name with a Shin Mem. Now, even though if you're writing Shin Mem, you can write Mem with a Mem Sofit, it doesn't matter. Even so, you're going to be hayav. You wrote shin with a regular mem, not a mem sofit. You're still going to be hayav because now you wrote the word shem, even though you wanted to write shimon, but you actually wrote a word. Right? It's interesting that this is the case, and you're still going to be hayav even if you wrote it without a mem sofit. And Rambam points out, why is this so? Because we care about the pronunciation. That's what we care about, right? V'zeh davar nachon. Right? We don't care about his kavanah when it comes to this. Rather, we care about the shilemut of the melacha, right? The wholesomeness, the completion of the actual melacha, right? So if a person, and another example, if a person says, I want to go ahead and weave a piece of a garment of 20 amot long, and you only, you weave 19 of it. We're going to say he's going to be patur? No, he's obviously hayav. Once he actually puts, 2 loops, as the Mishna says, right? Haoreg, what's the language? Shnechutim. The person haoreg shnechutim is hayav, right? Even though he wanted to finish the whole thing, okay, it doesn't matter. You completed the actual melacha, right? So that's the same thing over here. Over here, you started to write the name, right? You wrote the shin, the mem. That's it. You completed the melacha of writing a word, and at that moment, you're going to be hayav.